Waiting for that countdown is like waiting on ice to freeze. But does ice really freeze? It's water that freezes.
Yeah. Oh,
water freezes. Yeah.
And so let's talk about that hot water heater. Why?
Why wouldn't you?
Cold water. You don't heat hot water.
Oh, that's a good point. Very good point.
Everybody says that. Oh, we got a new hot water heater. Well, maybe you should start heating the cold water and it would last longer.
Exactly. Well, so what would you, I mean, seriously though, what would you call it? A water heater. Okay. Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's a really good point.
You're welcome.
I wonder if you went up to like Home Depot or Lowe's and did a search, if it would come up hot water heater, or if it would just come up water heater. If only there was
some way to find out.
I know. I wish technology would advance enough where we could actually search on. Speaking of, have you ever heard of Chat GPT? Did I talk about that on the? Have you?
No, actually, but it's been kind of rolling around LinkedIn, and
yes.
Our mutual friend Brooke was talking about it. But I also saw something on a news web. I think it was Fox website, and it was a really good interview. Fox Business actually, and I think it was Maria Bartiromo.
Mm-hmm.
And she was, in listening to it, she was kind of pretending to understand the technology, and that was okay. You know, she had the verbiage to use and so on. But her guest was like, "Oh yeah," he said, "the difference with ChatGPT is going to be more of an impact on white collar workers than it is blue collar workers."
Yeah,
and I thought, yeah, he's right. He's absolutely right. So,
did you hear my dog at the door barking?
I did. I thought it was great.
Yeah, that was weird.
I was hoping it was your dog and not Jen.
Yeah, no, Jen's not home right now.
Oh, okay.
Well, maybe she might be. I don't know.
Probably not. Well, she doesn't bark like that anyway.
No, not until a few cocktails.
Then she does.
Yeah. Well, don't we all?
Occasionally. You just have water, though, isn't that what you?
Yeah, I've got water. Yeah, I'm just drinking a little bit of water here. I'm actually running a little bit low, so let me refill my water here.
Yes, water indeed. I see you have that large water bottle.
Yeah, it's a big water bottle.
Half-gallon water bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
Diet Coke and water. Pink. So you can see here I still have my cold, which is awesome.
Yeah. Well, you told me earlier you have a story about that.
Yeah, it's bronchitis, they say. But this is like a month, and I have not been to the gym in about a month because I don't want to go where I'm expectorating and all of that, and I feel like crap. So and whatever. Anyway.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I haven't been to the gym for a month, and I just don't want to go.
Yes. Well, the good part
there's no reason for it.
I've lost some weight, so
see, that's all that matters.
I know this might be a good argument because I really don't feel like eating much. Anyway,
right.
Yeah. So, but I've been to the doctor. I did a televisit with the doctor today, and I like the guy. Speaking of which, he said he would do a PoddiMouths episode with us
nice.
if we ever wanted to. He's a cool dude. You would like him.
All right.
Anyway, we'll talk about that offline, but good guy. For the second time, he's prescribed me something, and really just a cough syrup.
Yeah.
And the first one he prescribed earlier in the week, I went to the pharmacy and they said, nope, that one's on national back order. We don't have it. We can get it probably the middle of next month. All right, fine. So I told him, and he just kind of rolls his eyes. He said, all right, I wonder if they have this one, and it was a more common one with codeine. Fine. No big deal. And so I said, okay, well, I'll try this, and went, and he got me a inhaler thing.
Nice.
And I don't know. Whatever. I don't know what's the big difference yet.
You just make sure you inhale. Unlike Bill Clinton.
Unlike Bill Clinton. He did not inhale. What, to pick up the codeine thing? Nope, sorry, we don't have it. It'll be February before we get. Come on.
Yeah. Well, February's like, this week.
No, next week, but who's counting?
Right.
This week that we're watching this. Yes, true.
You're right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, so we have the same issue, but it's not as immediate. But Peyton, as we've talked about it on the podcast, Peyton is on ADHD medication, and it's really strange because it's ADHD medicine and it's highly regulated. So if you have a 30-day supply, you can't order a new supply until you are at 30 days or the day after 30 days. So you can't pre-order. So you order it, and or you go to have it filled, and then you're supposed to pick it up, right? So she will run out before we can go pick it up. And the last 2 times we've gone, they've been back ordered. So she's gone a week or 2 weeks without her ADHD medicine, which, trust me, folks, with her, we don't believe in drugs. We would rather her not be on them, but she needs them.
Yeah.
Badly.
You notice quite a difference.
You notice a major difference. Yeah. And we can definitely notice a difference when not medicated. So it really, luckily we still have some of her previous, type. It doesn't work as well, but it does work. And we still have, that's kind of what we use in between. But what happens when we run out of that?
Yeah, right.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
So, and you think about that because as we were in the whole COVID thing and talking about, China and all of that, and they essentially are responsible for 100% of our prescription drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have to change that somehow, because by that happening, if they want to just slow things down, or it's kind of like when we were dependent on Mideast oil, if they want to slow things down, they're going to do it. And there's nothing we can do about it. So, I hope that people start to see the writing on the wall. And
I think they are
making a change. I hope so.
I really do think they are. I have to believe that. If I don't, then why? Just why? Yeah,
there's that.
Anyway, well, I did. I love it. I was going to comment on that earlier, but you started talking my ear off. But I want to get back to water because you have some exciting news.
What are you waiting for? Yes.
What are you waiting for?
As anyone who is tuned into the podcast knows,
which is, I'm sure
everybody,
exactly. Thousands. We have a bigger following than Joe Rogan.
Well, Joe calls me, and how do you do it? And
I know.
But I have learned that what makes him successful, and that is you get really good guests, you let them talk, and then you drop 3 or 4 F-bombs.
And don't forget, you get stoned and or hammered at the same time.
Yes, he's done that. Did you see the bee thing, the honey? Oh my gosh, from these huge bees in
I started listening to that
in Nepal. Oh my gosh.
Well, that guy is from Minnesota.
Oh, is he?
Yes,
access. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he is actually originally from Minnesota.
Okay.
But he's been living in Asia for the last few years until the pandemic, and he was in Vietnam, I believe, and that forced him to move back to the States. So he went back to Minnesota, which was great because right when he went back, he continued his show. It's on YouTube, folks. And forgive me, I don't remember the name. I'll think of it when I'm not trying to think of it. But he does a show and it's all about food. And he actually went to the Minnesota State Fair, but then he also went to my hometown to something that never existed when I lived there, but it was a food truck festival, and they had hundreds upon hundreds of food trucks lining the streets of my hometown. And I thought that was so cool. I had such a good time. But he had some. So my mom's last meal before she passed away was a Juicy Lucy.
Oh, yes.
For those of you from the North know what a Juicy Lucy is, but it's not as well known in other parts of the country. Right. It's a hamburger, but the cheese is on the inside of the meat. It's inside the burger, so when you bite into it, it explodes. He had a whole episode on Juicy Lucy's, which was fantastic. So I would, if we remember the name, I'll try to put it in the show notes if I remember. But it's really, really good. I enjoy that show. Cool. But he was on Joe Rogan talking about the honeybee thing.
Yeah.
Recently.
That was, and talking about potent. Oh my gosh. Pretty scary. Yeah. So if you check that out, that's worthy for sure. Anyway, the water.
It's going to bother me that I can't remember his name.
Well, then go ahead and look while I talk about the water.
Okay. Go ahead.
Because you already know. We've been building a house for a year this week, I think. And So it's finally starting to come to fruition. I kind of threw down on the builder and his supervisor this week that, we haven't been a priority to this point, and we're not squeaky wheels, but we're fixing to get squeaky. So that's kind of how it's all gone down. Well, they said
you have moved to the south, fixing.
Yeah, I know, fixing to get squeaky. We lived in the south, and do currently. It was.
Pause for just a second before I forget. Best ever food review show is what it's called.
Oh, that's Sunny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. I love that his YouTube site or his YouTube feed. It's awesome. Sonny, he's amazing. So the two things we have to wait for: power and water. So we were psyched to find out. We thought we were going to have to drill for a well for water. We're on county water.
Nice.
So that was good. So, we were happy about that.
You wait for two things, but I'm going to do this for you.
Well, thank you. There's
you're welcome.
The water, and the other one is power. Yeah. And the power, we found out, the pole, we built the house pointed at the power pole. I mean, it's right where we planned it to be. It's close enough. It's supposed to go right to the garage, and they're like, yes, it's perfect. Okay. Well, apparently, to connect it to the garage, where they have the mast already in place, it's going to be 5 weeks. But if we want to dig a trench and pay for them to bury it, they can do it next week.
How much is
for
it
an
to
extra
do that?
$1,300?
That's not bad, though.
Oh, whatever. What's the benefit to me to have it from the street? And I swear to you, it's
I guess it depends on. I guess it depends on where the power is in general, because storms come in. If your power is buried, there's the likelihood of never mind. I know what I'm saying.
Right out of the street, 50 feet away. So if it knocks the pole over, it doesn't really matter.
You would think it would be easier to do power without digging a hole.
He would think, but regardless. So we're going to do it. Fine. Dig the damn hole, because I'm not waiting another 4 weeks.
Yeah. Just
to get that done, which is ridiculous. Anyway, the water was in today. Lisa and I went over to the house, and the guys from the county were there. And, one guy's kind of smiling. And I said, "You're with the county water, aren't you?" And he goes, "Your water is in, sir." I'm going, "Yes, yes." It's awesome. And I'm high-fiving him. Actually, no, here's how it went. He said, "We got your water in. I checked the flow. It's really good." And he just puts his hand out like a fist bump. It was awesome. So I fist bumped him, and we laughed. And I just told him, I said, "Dude, every time I take a shower, I'm going to think about you." He said, "Okay, don't think of me when you're in the shower. Why don't you just?" Okay, all right, gotcha. Yeah. I won't, but it was great. So good to have that part done. So we get the power handled. I told him the movers are coming in 2 weeks. You need to have the damn thing done. So we'll see. We'll see.
Squeaky wheel.
It's just, I'm not that way naturally, but
I am not either. I know.
But you gotta.
You have to.
It's time.
Yep. There's a lot of things in this life that we honestly miss out on because we're not. My wife and I talk about that all the time. I think we would be much more, and I'm putting quotes in the air for people that aren't watching, successful if we were a little bit more squeaky when it comes to
an argument to be made for that, but I at some point you got to live with yourself too, and you just go,
and that's it. It's kind of one of those things. If you put a lot in, you might be screwed over and over and over again, but ultimately in the end, you're going to be the one who wins out because you put enough good into the universe where you'll be repaid. Doesn't mean it's going to be financial, which right now would be wonderful, but it is what it is. And I have read many articles that say that's one of the most dangerous phrases to come out of a person. It is what it is. Kind of like the Minnesota Ole joke. Have you heard that? The Ole joke?
No, bring it.
Ole goes into a bar and Sven's there.
What do you mean there are like 50 of them. I can rattle off right now, Ole and Lena. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's Ole goes into a bar and Sven is there, and Sven's like, "Ole, how's it going?" And Ole said, "Well, my wife left me today." "Oh, that's horrible," Sven says. "Yeah. My dog died too. Oh my goodness, that's horrible. Yeah, to top that off, I lost my job and my house burned down. Oh, Sven, or Oli, how you doing, man? He said, "Oh, could be worse."
Wow.
That is the definition, by the way, of a Minnesotan right there. Could be worse.
Because he's
what?
Because he's Norwegian. Sorry,
because he's Norwegian. Yeah, or Minnesotan. I prefer to go Minnesota.
Oh no, Norwegian. Oli, Lena, Sven.
Yeah,
seriously.
And how many Swedish/Norwegian people are in Minnesota?
7.
No, 10,000. One for every lake.
Yes, drowning in every lake. So mine, and if you're just listening, you're not going to get this, so I apologize. But if you're watching on YouTube, this is where YouTube really pays off, because I'm going to show you. Do you notice my Bill Clinton finger? I did not have sexual relations with that woman. He did this with his finger,
and I didn't inhale.
That was a different.
That was a different finger. Yeah.
There. Okay. So Oli and Lena was making dinner. Oli's working out in the fields, and Oli, gosh, he's so far out in the field, but she knows she needs to call him in, otherwise he's never going to come in for dinner. Well, she walks out on the front porch, and she does this. You have to watch. It's a visual.
Okay.
And she says, "Oli, time for supper," and screams it out. And Oli, nothing, not a thing. And 10 minutes later, dinner is on the table. And Lena's pissed, and she gets out, stomps out onto the porch, and she says, "Oli, time for supper," and wags her little pinky
her finger, yeah,
and nothing. And another 10 minutes, dinner is getting cold. Stomps out on the porch, and she says, "Oli, time for supper." And Oli finally comes meandering in, because that's what he does. He meanders into the house, up onto the porch, opens the door, closes it behind him, and says, "Say, Lena, every time you call me for supper, you always go, 'Only time for supper,' and you wag your little pinky. What is that for?" And she says, well, Oli, that reminds me of your little wiener every time I do that." And he said, "Well, that's hardly fair, Lena. When I call you, I don't say, 'Lena.'" Yes, wow. That's a YouTube.
I don't mean to laugh, but that was funny.
That
was sorry, Mom.
I told you, now Mom knows the joke. She may have taught me the joke.
Probably. Yeah. Most of my Oli and Lena jokes either came from my mom or Prairie Home Companion.
Garrison Keillor.
I love that. He's from my hometown too. Well, okay.
Is there anybody left there?
In my hometown?
Yeah.
So I have to be fair, because I do know that there are people listening that are from I have 2 hometowns.
You're adopted.
I have the one that I was born in, which is Mora, which is the Mora, Minnesota, which is the sister city to Mora, Sweden. And then there's Anoka. And Anoka is closer to the Twin Cities. So I spent, it's half and half of my life, or not my life, but my childhood. So I love both places equally and consider them both my hometown.
How
but when
far
I'm talking
are they from
about
one another? How far are they from one?
About an hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're not far. But when I say my hometown with Garrison Keillor, that's Anoka. Also the hometown of Gretchen Carlson. So that's where they both grew up and went to high school. So anyway, and Brianna Curry, soccer player. Anyway, so yes, Garrison Keillor is from Anoka, and I was always a massive fan of Prairie Home Companion. Okay. I loved that radio show. Got to see it live several times.
Really?
When they were recording, they would record it. For those of you who don't know, Prairie Home Companion is a radio show, or was a radio show. I think they still have it. I just don't think Garrison is running it. But Garrison Keillor ran it for a very long time, and it was a full stage production most of the time, in the style of old radio shows. So they had the sound effects with someone doing, the shoes in sand, but doing that with a microphone on with their hands, Breaking Bones, they would use celery.
Breaking Bones.
Oh, well, if they had to do, I'm using that as an example, but for sound effects.
We are really missing the boat on.
You really are. You really
we
are.
Need
but
to. I have celery in the kitchen. I can.
Right. But it was.
You want
to
break your arm?
Very much Americana, and he would always he built his career on stories from Lake Wobegon, which is a made up story about a town in Minnesota, which was, by the way, not Anoka. It was an influence by another town in southwestern Minnesota. I don't remember the name of it, but that was where the influence, where he actually got his start in his career writing for newspapers, was in this small town, and that's where the stories from Lake Wobegon were created. I highly recommend for anyone that's interested in stuff like that to listen or try to find some. I bet you could find it on YouTube. I bet you could find it on
I'm sure you could.
Other places that have audio recordings. You find old programs of Prairie Home Companion and listen to stories from Lake Wobegon.
But no, every time you hear a bone breaking, it's really celery.
It is sometimes, not always. There's, I think they also use
carrots.
Carrots maybe, but also dried
Pecans.
pasta.
Oh, pasta.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
that would be very tiny bones.
Yeah, in movies they call it Foleying. I don't know if they call it the same in radio.
Yeah. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Anyway, so I don't know where I was going with that, but Prairie Home Companion. You had me. A lot of Ole and Lena jokes because that's where I heard most of them. But yeah, so
probably not the one I just told, but that's okay.
No, definitely not the one you just told.
Okay, so
but I do think I heard mine there.
Oh, I'm sure you did. Yeah, that was much safer. I have to apologize to Bill because apparently you made me say something naughty about Bill.
What did I say?
Week.
Or what did I make you say?
I said he wears the pens. He texted me. He goes, "I do not wear the pens."
I don't even remember that. At least I didn't put it in the title, Bill.
No, that's true.
That means I wasn't paying attention.
Because I'm not sure if Bill wears that. That would not be a nice.
No, I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't.
Sorry, Bill.
They're fantastic.
Bill, never. It depends. Are fantastic. You will, when Nick talks you into wearing them, you will enjoy them. But for now, he's all. I think it led me to believe that he mostly wears just the tidy whities, and I could be wrong with that too.
Could be wrong. It could be boxers. It could be. You know what? The not sponsor of our podcast.
Yes.
MeUndies. He could be wearing MeUndies.
Definitely not a sponsor because they're too
definitely not
expensive.
A sponsor.
Have you seen how much they are?
Buddy,
cut it out.
I have enough MeUndies to last 3 weeks.
Why?
Because that's how they get you. They get you to sign up for the monthly.
Not how they got me.
And then they start sending you one every single month, and you're like, and you get to a point where you're like, holy shit, I've got way too many of these. I got to cancel.
Okay, is that what you say?
Yes. But I will say, again, not a sponsor, but I will say,
you know how they get
probably
you? They show you the girl's nice butt, and you go,
yeah.
Hey, look
but
that fella.
I will say
that would be my butt if I wore MeUndies.
Out of all of the underwear I have worn in my life, they are by far the most comfortable.
Okay, they're also by far the most expensive. How much?
Buddy,
do it.
Well, if you're a member, they're
if
much
you're
cheaper.
A member, yeah,
if you're a member, that's why we did that. But
same when you go to Vegas. If you're a member of the then it's a lot less expensive.
They last a long time and they're extremely comfortable.
Well, when you know, it's one of those things.
Are you going to
last a long time?
Are you going to buy expensive sheets or cheap sheets? The expensive sheets are exactly. It's the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing.
It is the same thing.
My Walmart undies are really comfy.
I would disagree.
Oh, you've never worn my undies, and maybe you should.
No, I've worn MeUndies.
Walk a mile in my undies before
then I'd be a mile away and in your undies.
Yes, you would, and we would post the hell out of
that. Exactly. And I would use that as the title, MeUndies, but I'm not because then that would.
We're not giving them the profit.
Well, hopefully, if they sponsored us, you'd get some for free.
Yeah,
and then you'd wear them, and then you'd go, "Damn it, Nick was right. These are the most comfortable panties I have ever worn." And I'm taking that from Dax Shepard.
That's the other
right
thing.
There.
Panties. Yeah, I'm not doing that. And you say they last a long time. That's because you have 70 pair.
That's not inaccurate.
See?
What are you drinking, by the way? Because we talked
Diet
about
Coke.
my vodka, but we didn't.
This is Elijah something or other.
Elijah Craig?
Sure. Let's say it is. I think it is Elijah Craig.
Elijah Craig. Elijah
I've
Craig's
had it
good.
before. It's nice. It's a little heaty when you in the throat, but it's very nice. Nice for sipping. And since I can't get any of my darn cough syrup,
that's what they used to use. I mean, it's basically the same thing.
It's true, and I know I told you that my brother's in-laws before they passed from Germany and Jägermeister truly is what they used to use for cough syrup. And
yes,
it probably had more alcohol in it than it does today. But
yeah. So now you know what? I think I am a big proponent, and it always makes me feel a lot better, of hot toddies. You're using whiskey, which is probably out of all the liquors the one that's the quote unquote healthiest when you're sick. That's what some of the evidence has shown that I've read.
Yeah, the sick drunks always say that.
Exactly. Yeah. You've got honey, which is, one of the best substances out there for pretty much everything. You've got lemon, which is extremely healthy and good for you. And cinnamon, which is also exceptionally good for you. So you've got all the ingredients. Would you just come over
quick and make me one of those,
I'd make
please?
you a hot toddy. Yeah, absolutely. For those of you who don't know what a hot toddy is, it's a shot of whiskey, cinnamon. I usually use a cinnamon stick, a tablespoon of honey, a quarter of a lemon squeezed, juice, so just the lemon juice, and then about 6 ounces of hot water.
Hot water.
Yeah. Mix it all up, drink it. Oh, so good.
That sounds very good. And I would say that it's very similar to a Tom and Jerry around holidays. Is one of my favorites. It's like an eggnog drink, sort of. And that is one of my favorites. It's a little heavier in the liquor, brandy or part brandy and part rum, and brandy because it's Wisconsin.
When I grew up, and I'm sure you had the same thing, they always, every year, they would have the containers of Tom and Jerry mix in the grocery store.
Yep.
And you just add your liquor to it.
Exactly.
They don't have that down here.
And hot water.
And hot water. Yeah.
No, I'm sure they wouldn't be here either. No, and I don't think anyway. Maybe they would. We haven't looked for it because, I know, because it was 80 degrees. So you don't really.
I love Tom and Jerry's. Those were delicious. Some of my favorites.
And nutmeg on the top, sprinkle a little nutmeg. Oh, man. That's some good stuff. Good stuff. But yeah, 5 or 6 of them and don't drive.
That's exactly how I feel about hot toddies too.
Yeah.
Because you can drink. That's the thing with some of these things. You can drink 5 or 6 without even knowing. And then all of a sudden it's like, bam.
Oh, not a Tom and Jerry. No, those things are, and because it's a double shot, a shot of brandy and a shot of rum. And we gave my mom one once. She was probably 75 or so. And she said.
So last year.
Almost 20 years ago, 18 years ago.
You're not supposed to say that.
She's fine. She's proud of it. She loves it. But she had a seat after she finished it, I think, in a beanbag chair, and she couldn't get out. It was one of the funniest mom at Christmas time memories I have. It was awesome.
Funny.
Yeah, it was really cute. Very cute. I'm going to need help here. Yes, you are.
Oh, my goodness. That one made the title.
Oh, good. Mom in the beanbag.
Well, just beanbag chairs.
Yeah.
I love beanbag chairs.
Oh, so one more thing we
okay.
got to talk about. And this is not, and I want to be clear about this. I'm not being political about this thing. But today, you're listening to this a few days after we do it. But today, the Paul Pelosi stuff was released. Did you see
I haven't
that
read about that yet. I saw it. I was in the middle of work, so I just ignored my phone as I try to do as often as possible when I'm working.
So you didn't see
especially
the video?
Everyone that calls, and no, I haven't. What was it? It was
they
released the cam, right?
They released the officer's body cam.
Okay.
Who came to the door and the 911 call.
Okay.
That he made, and so this is where you got to look at both sides of everything, because we heard this story and everybody's just assuming the very worst about this whole interaction, that he's involved in something that's really weird. And I got to tell you what, not only did I listen to the 911 call where where it was not handled well. Let's just leave it at that. But watching the video, the dude was easily understood. He was at the top of his game where he could. It was for 82 years old. The guy was doing great, and he's got this ass with a hammer next to him, and they're clutching the hammer the whole time. Cop said, "Drop the hammer." The guy didn't. One shot to the head, and the cops were on that prick in seconds. But he got in a shot, and it hurt him badly. Paul Pelosi was beyond reproach in this whole thing. Absolutely beyond reproach. And,
what do you mean?
People were saying, he was in this. It was just a weird thing. And who was this guy? And why was it? Dude broke in, used a hammer to break in the house. Yeah. And so he's wanting Paul to pretend they're friends, which is what kind of transpired during the 911 call. And on the 911 call, Pelosi is trying to signal to this operator that this guy is not a friend, but he's forcing me to say he is. I mean, he really did a good job trying to explain, well, my wife is Nancy Pelosi, and this person on the 911 call is clueless. Oh, okay. Well, okay. And so what seems to be the truth? And so she's not getting any of it. And so anyway, it was, I got to give the guy props because he did everything well. I think the cops at the door did everything really well because they don't know what they're walking into.
Sure.
But as soon as that idiot took a swing at him with the hand, they were on him. And so I don't think it could have gone much differently, except for the 911 call, who maybe would have gotten somebody there under different auspices.
Gives 911 caller or operators a bad name because
they don't deserve it.
I have a cousin and I have a former student who are both 911 operators, and they're exceptional people. I mean, obviously know my cousin my entire life, but even my student who I've known very, very long, exceptional, and do a phenomenal job.
And maybe that's the downside because you begin to expect exceptional performance like that. And when you don't get it, you think, oh, well, wait a second. What is the deal with it? So you are absolutely right. And I would say the vast majority of emergency caller 911 dispatchers are
the vast
amazing.
Majority of every, I'm sorry, I will get political on that one. The vast majority of every first responder is high quality, high standards, want to do a job well, want to save lives, selfless, all of it. It's just those one or two bad apples that we see.
And it happens. Anybody can have a bad day. And sadly, this lady who took the call in San Francisco is going to get the brunt of that. And it's too bad. And she, look, anybody can have a bad day, but this one had implications and big ones. But anyway, I mean, I just need to say that because I'm not a fan of Nancy.
Sure.
Paul, the whole DUI thing, we didn't see all of that, I don't think. And certainly the selling all of your alphabet stock right before the investigation. I'm not a big fan of that either. And they've become multi-millionaires by doing that stuff over and over again.
So
whatever.
Speaking of,
but I gotta say that Paul was on the up and up, and he did everything very well and I was very
and that's
impressed.
why I enjoy you, and we've talked about this before, is the fact that we can actually have conversations about that and see the other side and not use our preconceived notions about people and things.
And anybody that gave a preconceived notion, it's not right. It's not fair because they didn't see it.
No,
and
they're
when
people. You know what? At the end of the day, we're all people. We all have lives. We all have people we care for.
A lot of it's agenda driven, though.
Exactly.
And that's the sad part. Just tell the truth. And if you don't know the truth, say you don't know.
100%. And so that leads me. So one thing I've been doing lately because of our last conversation is I purposely wasn't watching Yellowstone until the end of the season because I wanted to be able to binge. Yeah. But I went ahead and binged. So now I haven't finished it yet, but I'm on the most recent episode. I don't know if it's the last one, but it seems like the way it's going is
they're releasing them as they go, now.
Right. Yeah.
And
I hate that. Love it.
Maybe
hate
we'll release it if we feel like it.
Right.
Whatever.
But all of that to say, if you get a chance, for those of you who are watching, I want you to look at the storyline that has to do with Kevin Costner's character and Piper Parabo's character. And basically what they're saying
Who's
is
Piper
we've got,
Perabo?
she is the girl,
The blonde girl?
The blonde girl who's in prison. And yeah.
Yeah, got it.
But that whole dynamic is all about one side versus the other, and how both sides need to listen to each other and understand what each other is saying, because that will basically make life a lot easier. You know, getting back to the way it used to be, in essence.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is really, I'm sorry, this is powerful.
Yeah.
I don't care what side you believe. It's powerful.
Yeah, and they don't really take sides. You know, I mean, obviously we've got John Dutton, who is predictably
uber
centrist or right of,
uber conservative.
Centrist or right of center.
Conservative. I can't get that word out of my mouth.
Too much water.
Yeah, I got some water.
But yeah, and then this girl is unabashedly far left.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But as you said, as long as there's listening, but when Beth had the little talk with her,
yeah,
it was awesome.
Yeah, it really was.
Beating the crap out of each other.
John, don't give it away.
Well, yeah, I know. Okay. So this is going to give
spoiler alert.
I don't know if you knew this. Beth beats the shit out of everybody except her dad.
That's true. Either physically or verbally.
Rip, yeah. But, yeah, certainly Rip.
I bet she could beat the crap out of Rip.
No. Anyway, Rip's the boy. I'm happy.
No, you know why? Do you know why Rip would lose?
Because he would force himself to lose, and she's a woman.
It's Beth.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he wouldn't do anything.
He would not fight back.
That's true. It's fun to watch some of the YouTube behind the scenes stuff with the actors.
Yeah, it is.
Live from the bunk room or whatever they call it.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun. I can't think of the crazy blonde.
Which one?
Well, it starts with a C, in the bunkhouse.
Oh, the one in the bunkhouse?
Yeah.
You know who that is? Her name in real life is Jen Landon. That's Michael Landon's daughter.
Is it really?
Yeah.
She is so Teeter. Very good. She is so comfortable as an actor, but then she gets into character and it's just, why you talk about that?
Yeah.
And she's
fantastic.
She's a really good actor. And,
I want my burr. Gosh.
and
she's hilarious. Guys,
they asked her, where did you come up with that accent? And she goes, I don't know. It was just, that's how it was written, how Taylor wrote it out, how he wanted her to say it.
For those of you who don't know who Jen Landon or Michael Landon are, Michael Landon was the dad on Little House on the Prairie, and also was, Little Joe. I don't remember the name of the character, but
Little Joe on Bonanza.
Little Joe on Bonanza, but I wasn't even going that far back. Thank you for that. That was a deep cut there. I was going to go for what's the Angel TV show he was on after. It was the one that something on Heaven.
I never watched it.
Shit.
Yeah,
It was one of his. I mean, he was even more famous than Little House on the Prairie.
Really?
Yeah. It was his last show. He died. He died at the same time he was making that show. Anyway, but he's a very famous actor.
Yeah, for sure.
Multiple generations, obviously.
Yep. Yeah.
So anyway, this is his daughter.
I did not know that. That's very cool. Yeah.
It's, but again, a fantastic storyline. I really enjoy and that's what I really think is powerful about, and I know we've spent a couple of episodes talking about, Taylor Sheridan in particular, because what he's doing is really bridging the gap between not politics, but definitely between people's ideologies. And I think he's doing a really good job of broaching the subject, because we used to be like that. And I love some of the things that they've been posting of presidents of the past, not just, I'm not talking about just Republicans. I'm talking about Democrats as well.
Sure.
But, you know, the ones that they've been posting a lot lately have been President Bush and President Clinton, who are like best friends now.
Yeah.
And it's because they had mutual respect for each other, and they understood that they could disagree and still be friends and still be human.
I think, you know, it's sad to say, but there's so much that we don't know. And the money part, when you look at Davos,
all comes down to money.
You look at Davos, I shake my head at guys like John Kerry and this guy from the German guy, dude, I shake my head because they are so elitist and they want to have a one world order where because they're the smartest and richest that they run everything.
I'd like to pull back from the smartest part. Doesn't mean they're the smartest.
No, I'm saying what they bring to the table. They're definitely not. But they are the wealthiest, and they
definitely the wealthiest.
Buys them a place at the table. Well,
sure.
If it is all about the money, it might, but it's not. So anyway, it's in the Bible, the love of money. The love of money is the biggest issue that people face, and they will never find their way once they have that.
You shouldn't be looking for that. You should be looking for happiness, satisfaction, and love.
Nothing wrong with money. It's the love of money that's the problem. And so
that's exactly. Yeah. I may not have expressed that correctly, but that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yep.
Diet Coke. That's delicious.
That's a great diet. And this water is cool and refreshing.
Hey, I gotta say, because I think you remember one of the times that we did a happy hour, PoddiMouths, it went off the rails. In fact, it's one that never reached the air. Remember when Matt was with me?
I do remember that. So actually, to be perfectly frank, it's Nick, by the way. But anyway,
perfectly Nick.
It was the only one in 5 years. Well, we're on our 5th year, so the only one in 4 years, and 5 episodes that could not be published.
We were doing ourselves a favor by not publishing that.
Yes, we were.
All 3 of us. Anyway.
Yep.
But I wanted to bring Matt up because he texted me when we started. His son, Christian, just got his first goal in high school hockey.
Oh, and awesome. Good for him.
Cool. It's just a big deal for him. He's a hardworking kid, and it's turned into a nice game. Most of these kids that start I have been skating since 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
He started at, I want to say 11. And I could,
good for him.
I think it was like 11, and he's getting big and strong. And I'm so proud of him because we watched one of his games one time, didn't have a great game. And so I'm so embarrassed. You guys came and I played like cray anyway. So I want to make sure I give him props for his first.
That's awesome. Goal. Well, from one late starter to another, that's really incredible. I didn't start hockey. I always wanted to play hockey.
Yeah.
And when I was very, very young, about the time when you're supposed to start, my mom was given the option, because my mom worked at the hospital. Everyone was friends. My stepdad was there. He wasn't my stepdad yet, but everyone was there. And one of the doctors said, I would be happy to help because his son was a couple of years older than I was. I'd be happy to help and put Nick in hockey and, help through that whole process. And my mom decided that she didn't want to do that, which to her credit, she wanted to do it all on her own. But instead of putting me in hockey, she put me in violin lessons.
It's really the same.
It's really 100% the same. And
actually,
I can play Mary Had a Little Lamb on the violin.
I don't know if you've heard this. There's a lot of violins in hockey.
I know. It's the little ones, especially.
No.
But anyway, so that was my story. Yeah. But at one point, I loved hockey. Hockey is probably my favorite sport.
Okay.
I'm no good at it. I just absolutely love it. And of course, I'm not wearing my hockey hat tonight. Usually I'm wearing, at least one episode out of 3, I'm wearing a hockey hat.
Yes.
But when I got to be about 10 or 11, I arm wrestle, or how do I want to say? I didn't arm wrestle, obviously, but I really did. I made my mom let me play hockey. So I started late too, and absolutely loved it. And I was absolute crap at it. I was not a very good hockey player.
Yeah,
I wasn't a good skater. I was a good hockey. I was a good team member, and I was a good hockey player. I was not a good skater.
Yeah,
which that hurts you quite a bit. So, but I got to play through high school and everything, and I absolutely loved it. Wish I could have played longer. So I have a lot of respect for someone who can. I didn't get to play on the high school team.
Yeah,
because my high school team was one of the best in the state. So I wasn't even going to try. But I did play club hockey when I was in high school. So the fact that he's on the high school team, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's a high school team. I'm not sure if
it's a high school team, but he's playing. He's scoring. He is
playing with high school kids. Yeah,
I have a lot of respect for that. That's incredible.
Yeah, he's done a good job.
Good job.
He's done a good job.
What's his name?
Christian.
Christian. Good job, Christian.
Rock,
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very proud.
I don't know how we could do any better than that. I think we're going to have to end it on that because that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. Where are we going to go from there? Seriously.
Right. Christian, man, you ended this podcast episode. Congratulations.
he'd probably, and there are several people that say, I'd like to send Christian some money because he made them end. Yeah, he made them end it.
Folks,
we'll start a.
I was just going to say that we're going to start a fundraiser. Yeah. If you want to start a fundraiser for Christian, you can buy us a coffee. You can head up to Patreon. I think the account's still up there somewhere. We might not be able to get the money for Christian, but it's up there. You know, and hopefully it's getting some interest accumulating, and we'll be able to fund.
Wait, what's $10 compounded yearly? Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the interest rates the way they are now, it could be quite a bit.
It could be.
But anyway, if you want to do that, head up to PoddiMouths.com. Yeah, all that stuff's up there. Brand new website, by the way. Well, it's not brand new. It's at least 3 episodes old.
It's beautiful.
I thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You can now sign up for the newsletter. It's not really a newsletter. It's more of a reminder that we've published an episode, so you know when we're up and about. And you can also leave comments because we love comments. John answers them more than I do. I get to him about 2 weeks later
if I see them,
but I do, because John looks. I don't really look. I have to admit.
You have to be nice to me. I'm the one who likes all of our YouTube videos.
Yeah, you do. You really do. I try to watch them, or at least I put them on in the background. I turn the volume all the way down just so I could get the play numbers up.
Sometimes I stare at myself. I go.
Yeah. Well, I do try to find the thumbnail that is absolutely perfect. Like, I might pick the one where you're coughing. I think that would be really, really good.
Yeah,
especially because this episode is all about that.
Dang it.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
The people know I've got my medicine.
We got your medicine. Cheers, folks.
Slow that one down. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great week. We'll see you next time.
Good to see y'all. See ya.